So I'm really glad that the Albanian students had the topics that related around the problems we have now. And I'm really glad they focused on the problems that are political and organized crime and everything that's like we have to have strategic ways to get to solving that problems. I, on the other hand, wanted to speak about something else. It's still really much goes around the activism of youth and incorporating the younger generation into the different kinds of projects. So today I'm gonna talk about more the experience we had in the Erasmus Plus project, COOLTOUR Millennials for Cultural Heritage, where the idea was to basically find a new way of dialogue between cultural heritage managers and youth or millennials. Millennials were our target group because they different so much within the generation. So Dushan is a millennial, but I'm also millennial, but we respond differently to like social media stuff because our minds and like mindset is formed differently. Yes, because like I'm born in 96 and I'm basically half millennial, half Z generation because I had like a part of how do you say it, analog growing up and a bigger part of digital growing up. And why did I want to talk about this project? There were the consortium was made from different kinds of organizations from 6 countries. The lead partner was the Association for Cultural Events from Sardinia, Italy. And they're also an NGO that has a lot of projects connecting the community and the cultural heritage management and influencing the cultural heritage management in that sense. Brodota, who was a communication partner for Croatia, Kome, which is also an NGO from Hungary that deals with open air museums and different kinds of museology, the Institute for Archaeology from Serbia, and the Student Association Club from Serbia. Apart from us, as another student society, there was SHOW, or the student organization of Ljubljana, and the consortium was also the Cyprus University of Technology that was responsible for making the platform. So our goal was to find a way how to connect cultural heritage managers and youth in a way that both of them will have receiving information about the other. So basically, we wanted to find a way how to make that communication more sustainable and how to make it more easy in everyday lives. When we did our desk study, we figured out that one of the conclusions was that young people are more open to discovering new heritage sites through different kinds of platforms. We like to use apps to get new knowledge and to like figure out where we're gonna go, what were we gonna discover next or visit on our next how do you say, vacationing. So as a student organization, we had a really big part in basically fighting for the youth side. And I think the idea of this project basically was to have youth organization as a way to I don't know how to say it in English, basically, as a way to regulate the institutions that are involved in like decision making, but as well as making programs for young people. Because at some point, because of the generational gap, when the programs for youngs are made by other generations, there are less impacted on the society because there is a generational gap and language gap also. So one of the things we did with during this project, we had lots of different activities, and we involved 60 young people from all of these different states to basically have them involved in every activity we did within the project. So first was a training for all of them, international mobility in Viminatium. Then we did pilot projects in each country. And then we made the guidelines for cultural heritage managers according to the activities that we had done. And after they were involved in dissemination of the project results. This RCPR is one of campaigns that we did during the pilot projects in Belgrade with the Institute for Cultural Heritage Protection of Belgrade. And basically there was one expert and 10 young people basically working together on figuring out how to rebrand certain heritage landscapes and heritage sites in order to make them more appealing to young people, but also to raise awareness about the things and values that our disciplines hold dear to life and why they're important in overall our society. So the RCPR was basically a way for us to explain how does the process of the protection of one heritage site goes. So research is one of the first things we do. We need to document and evidence that there is a heritage site. We are also in a big obligation to document it the way we found it, because we as archaeologists are basically the final destructurers of heritage sites. Then to collect all those information to protect or to measure and monitor the way that the heritage site is living in the everyday life, and to respect the cultural heritage sites we are trying to protect. So I wanted to show you, since we were focused on youth, we wanted to make digital content media that will explain our problems, but also be appealing to them. So one of these, so it was making a TikTok account, making different kinds of social media campaigns. And so then we try to make because we take a lot of heritage sites pictures, archaeologists do know what these structures are and how are they used in the past. So we wanted to find a nice visual way to explain basically how to bath in the Roman baths. That was one of the things. Also, we made like a lot of different memes that are connecting the past and the present in that sense. And I see by your reactions that you are taking them really nicely. Because it was really interesting to have that experience in Viminatium, not because of the archaeological site, but because of the landscape and because of the coal mine that's near and the pollution and the impact, because also the local community is really involved. It was a really good experience for us as young people to think so openly about all the stuff that really influenced the heritage and its protection. So these ones, I have some of these if you want, they have remained from the project. And so the thing I wanted to focus most on, these are the two, I think, my most favorite photos of that time. I think it was important to include younger and NGO sector in this project, but also it brings a certain kind of pressure on young people when basically, I know from my personal experience through growing through archaeology, there was this sentence that's repeated all the time on young people is to do this, this, and this. And I don't want to, I just think that young people do recognize the impact and the steps that the your generations and generations before us have like set up, because it's all some steps until we as a community, a scientific community, can reach the goals in like 10, 15, 20, 100 years, because that's hopefully what are we going for. But also, I think because of that kind of pressure makes the feeling that we are stuck in the grave, and basically that we have the responsibility to, we are responsible for changing this world. And I think that's the reason why many young people are fleeing from the fighting and fleeing from even getting into these kinds of topics. So one of our slogans for this whole project was youth for and in the culture, basically culture sector, because during this project we really held a certain stance. It means that young generations will not anymore, we don't respond the same, so we need to find the intergenerational dialogue, basically, because the older generation has enormous amount of knowledge that we will never have in that kind of way, because our brains functions differently. They have a 60 span attention time because of the social media. But I think we can, if we find a way to communicate together, we are gonna be faster in resolving different kinds of problems and solutions, because you have the knowledge and we maybe have ideas how to implement your knowledge in a way that we finally get to the result we want. So I really want to thank Dusan, because his invitation of the Student Association Club to this conference is also a good way of supporting NGO institution from the student sector, because when we get older and establish ourselves in academia, I think should find a way to get back to the students, to empower them. So thank you, Dusan, so much for making this